Hi everyone, my name is Lutfiano Mahati and Alfia Zulfa. We would like to explain about how to use storybooks as our method to teach young learners. Well, these are some points that we are going to explain in this video. The first, why use stories? Because storybooks can provide an ideal introduction to the foreign language as it is presented in a context that is similar to the child. And also, stories can provide the starting point for a wide variety of related language and learning activities. Well, now I will explain about the first point, that is selecting storybooks. There are 4 points that we are going to highlight in the selecting storybooks. The first is the readers. The types of storybooks that usually teachers use in the classroom are fairy tales, fables, and nursery rhymes. Teachers use those types of storybooks because the vocabularies and structures are carefully created and sequences. The main purpose of why the teachers use storybooks is in order to develop the reading skill of the children. The second is authentic storybooks. Actually, the use of authentic English storybooks is better for the children who speak English as their L1, but it doesn't matter if it's using for the children who use English as their L2. There are some advantages of using authentic storybooks for children. First, storybooks provide real language. It means that the use of language in storybooks are very related with children's daily activities, so it can overreach sources of authentic input like the vocabulary for the children. And next, storybooks can also motivate the children as they experience of achievement. It means that the children will be proud of themselves if they have read one book. It can be their experience of achievement. And the last is the quality of illustration is aiding general comprehension. By thinking about the illustrations of the story, of course it can improve the children's comprehension because the children become think and they also guess what will happen next. And the next point is the types of storybooks. As teachers, if we want to use storybooks as our instrument in teaching young learners, of course we have to really choose to write storybooks for our children. There are some types of storybooks. They are, first, the stories are familiar with the children L1. It is better to choose this type of storybooks because it will be easier for the children to understand the story. Second, the language may be too complex and the content is too simplistic. For the age group, they are aimed at. We have to make sure that the storybooks that we choose are suitable for the children's age, like from the complexity of the language and the simplicity of the content. Third, it is almost the same as the point before that pay attention to the age of children is really important in choosing storybooks. Teachers also have to harmonize the conceptual and the emotional development of the children. The last point is the criteria of selecting storybooks. As young learners teachers, the selection of the storybooks that we will use in the classroom is very important. Every different storybooks contain different features, but all good storybooks contain a number of those points that I'm going to mention after this. The first is level. Please know your children first before you choose the storybooks. Next is the literary devices. How the literary content of the storybooks also should be noticed, like how the children understand the story. It helps the children's pronunciation or not and anticipation. The other one is the content. The content is interesting or not for the children and also consider the length of the story. After that, the illustration or layout should be considered also. The number 5 point is about the educational potential. Like it is like the way the story tells it's related with the education or not. And the next point is motivation. Are the stories will give motivation to the children's life or not? Another point is values. Every storybooks that teachers choose should have a moral value in order to make the students learn from that story. The storybook that teachers are going to choose also should contain the global issues in order to develop the students' awareness and understanding of the environmental and ecological issues. And the last is language content. Are the language that used in the storybooks related with the target culture or not? And it is also should be considered while teachers choose storybooks. Well, now we move to the next topic, that is using storybooks. Actually, storybooks can be supplementing or complementing as a course book because it provides extra language practice and the story shows how language is used in another context. For example, if we teach about animals, so we can use an animal story to teach our children. Besides, the use of storybooks is making learning more fun and also memorable and fun. Well, friends, do you know that storybooks can be an alternative to the course book? The answer is yes, because storybooks can be used as short basic syllabus and it provides starting point for all kinds of related language learning activities and over novel alternative to the course.
A methodology for story-based work. As our starting point to designing a plan or program of work is a storybook, we already begin with some of the crucial ingredients that can contribute to successful language learning with children. The first is input of authentic language so that children are exposed to the true complexities and richness of the language in order to work out meaning. The next is memorable children-centered context from which language arises naturally, so language is meant to an end rather than an end in itself. The next is interesting and enjoyable context, so the children will motivate and develop positive attitude. The next is provide the material that related with the curriculum, and the last is develop learning strategy. The next section is what is storytelling. In storytelling, they are divided into two. The first is reading telling stories and the second is record version of stories. Reading or telling stories, the rule of teacher who to reading or telling stories, the first is teacher read the story by themselves and then the teacher will probably be able to remember it by heart, so the teacher know the story well enough so that the teacher not reading words. And the next is general procedure for planning story-based work design. The first is decide learning goals including linguistic, cultural, curricular, and citizenship, and many outcomes. The next is decide if you need to modify the story in any way, and then decide the time for how long you storybook for, and then decide the technique, content, material, and how to explain the aim, and then decide the setting for classroom, decide when, and the time to read again for specific purpose, and decide activity that related with the story, decide activity to express the personal language, and the last is decide how to checking and evaluating the children. And the next is using recorder version of stories. The qualification of using the record are: the first is provide a good quality of the record. It means the record must provide a pronunciation guide for certain words as well as for sentence stress, intonation patterns, and rhythm. And the next is it allows the children hear English spoken by someone else. And the next is the recording must can motivate and support children understanding. And then so it can help the children to guess the meaning of unknown words.
And the next is using storytelling techniques. There are a lot of techniques that actually teachers can do in the classroom. It is better for teachers to change the techniques while using storytelling in order to make the children is not bored with the storytellings of the teachers. First, begin with short sessions. In order not to force the children think hard about the story, it is better to use the short stories first. Second, have the children sit on the floor around the teacher, making sure that everyone can see and hear you clearly. Third, read slowly and clearly. Four, make comments about the illustrations and point them to focus the children's attention. 5. Encourage the children to take part in the storytelling by repeating vocabulary or phrase. 6. Use gestures, mime, and facial gestures. 7. Vary the pace, tone, and volume of the voice. 8. Pause when it is appropriate to add dramatic effect. 9. Disguise the voice for different characters. 10. Make sound effect if it's necessary. 11. Ask questions to involve children like, do you know what will happen next? Or show the picture and ask the children to say what it is. 12. Repeat, expand, and reformulate. This increases opportunities of exposure to the language and gives the children second or third chance to work out the meaning and have it confirmed.
The next is evaluating your storytelling techniques. If you want to evaluate your storytelling, you can also like to record yourself reading a story to your children and use the self-assessment questionnaire again afterwards.
Next is organizing a book corner. Organize a book corner is one of a good idea to increase the students' reading skills. It is good because first, children can choose their choice storybooks and read it in their leisure, and second, will promote a positive attitude towards reading and create enthusiasm among children.
The next section is setting up a book corner. We have some tips for design your book corner. The first is use table or cardboard books in colored paper to display, and then if possible display books with the cover showing, and then try to involve your children as much as possible in the organization of the store of the book corner, and then decide the corner that will inspire the children, and the last is bring children attention to the book that related to a topic you are covering. The last is associated activity. There are several activities which can follow on from regular book reading. The first is drawing and coloring. Children can read raw the character, create map showing where the story takes place, think of the other possible cover illustration, and so on. The next is handicraft. The children can encourage to create their own maps, have model of street and building that inspired by the characters and place in the book they have enjoyed. And the next is song and rhymes. Very often the terms developed in stories are to be found in various songs and rhymes. And the last is vocabulary activity. The children can create their own picture dictionary based on the words from the story that they have read or heard. Okay guys, that's all from us, me Alpia Zulfa and my friend Lutfiano Mahati. So thank you and goodbye.